So something that I get asked a lot is, how do you talk to someone who is suicidal? And I will usually relay the information from the National Alliance on Mental Illness, as well as conversations with my own therapist, on how you can be supportive, actively listen, and get your loved one help if necessary. And look, I know a lot of us have been there before, and it's scary, right? Like, there is this misconception that exists that talking about suicide will increase the chances of a person to act on it. But don't worry, because that is not true. In fact, talking about suicide reduces the risk of suicidal ideation and the impulse to act on it. When we can give someone who's hurting the space to talk about that hurt, it will improve mental health related outcomes and increase the likelihood that the person will seek treatment. So if you think someone is suicidal, maybe they're saying things to you like, I can't take this anymore, or I don't want to be here, or I don't see a future. The first thing you want to do is start asking questions. You want to be direct, and you want to get frank assessment of where they're at. Are they ideating? Are they actively suicidal? And the way you can do this is you can start off with questions like, how are you doing? How are you getting by? Have you ever thought of hurting yourself? Do you ever think of killing yourself? If the answer is yes to any of those, start following up. Previous attempts make future attempts more likely. And anyone who's planning or acquiring means for self-harm are signs that they may be actively suicidal, which is what you want to find out. So you can ask questions like, have you tried to harm yourself before? Have you ever attempted to take your own life? Do you have a plan in place? Also get clarity on what might make you act on these thoughts. What holds you back from acting on these thoughts? Because the answers you get are the key to determining what support this person needs. If they say that they're lonely and they need connection, that gives you a clear picture of how you can actually help. Now, once you've done this assessment of where they're at, find out how they're getting emotional support, if at all. Do they have a therapist? Would they consider going to therapy? If they ever have a plan to hurt themselves, can we go to the hospital together? Will you call me in case that happens? Now, people who have died from suicide have often told someone about not wanting to live anymore. So it's important that we have the tools to talk about this with our friends and family. Suicide is a leading cause of death in the United States. There is one every 11 minutes. The number of people who think about committing suicide or attempt it is even higher. So when people talk to me, and I can tell the suicidal ideation is really bad or that they're actively suicidal, I will often ask, do you have access to weapons that can be used to harm yourself? This is especially important because one of the only proven ways to prevent suicide is to remove access to methods. So if someone is ideating and owns a firearm, taking precautions to remove that firearm for the duration of these thoughts can make a huge difference in their outcome, like literally life and death. The act of suicide is often an attempt to control deep, painful emotions and thoughts that someone's experiencing. But once those thoughts dissipate, so will the suicidal ideation. While suicidal thoughts can return, they're not necessarily permanent or even a sign of a mental illness. And look, I know it can be really scary when someone comes to you with suicidal ideation, but once you know how to handle it, once you have the tools, it's really not that hard to just show up, actively listen, and help the person you love. And once you have all that in place, it's so much less scary, and you know how to be there and potentially save lives. I'm Anna Akana. Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring today's video. If you're struggling with your mental health, relationship patterns, or even just being alive, I cannot emphasize therapy's benefits enough. So with BetterHelp, you can have your therapy sessions as a phone call, a video chat, or even messaging, whatever's most comfortable for you. BetterHelp can match you to one of over 30,000 therapists in their network based on your needs, preferences, and location, which gives you a wider range of expertise than may be available in your city. So to get started, you just fill out a questionnaire that will ask you questions like, what challenges are you going through? What kind of therapist would you like? And then BetterHelp will match you to a therapist, in most cases within 48 hours. Now, therapy is kind of like dating, right? You want to make sure that you find the right fit, that you vibe with your therapist. So if for whatever reason it's not a great fit, you can switch at no additional cost. Join over 4 million people who have used BetterHelp to start living a healthier, happier life. Click the link in the description or visit betterhelp.com/Akana and get 10% off your first month.